Hey guys, this is Fuberdude, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Masterpiece MP11 SW Destron Warrior Skywarp. And as you can see, I've gotten the new official Masterpiece Skywarp. As you might already know, I already had the custom figure that I got off of eBay, but this is the official version. And I chose to get this one because I just wanted an official figure over a custom figure, because my custom figure, the paint could have gotten scratched and I couldn't really transform him. This guy can transform all I want without getting like major damage. But as you can see, the box, very nice pictures here of Skywarp in his vehicle mode and his robot mode. You got the 30 years, actually it's 31 now because it's 2015. Then you have a bunch of Japanese right there, and you have his name Skywarp and the Masterpiece logo and Takara and Tomy. So on the bottom, you got a bunch of Japanese and not for kids under 3 years old, although it says ages 15 plus. And for some reason, Hasbro's down here. So anyway, the logo's right there. Come to the side, you got just the logo and stuff. On the top, you got a different picture of Skywarp, and I don't know if you can see that very well. So it's kind of a neat picture of him. Come to the side, you got the same exact logo. On the back, it's just a few product shots of Skywarp and his accessories. And here's an actual size photo. So that is it for the box. So without further ado, let's review this guy out of the box. Alright guys, so here's Skywarp out of the box and ready to go. And before I get to the figure, he does come with a few things, like the instruction booklet. And what's nice is, this is like the English version. This is the Japanese version, as you can see, like Skywarp, a bunch of characters and stuff there. And on the back, you got Transformers, and then right there you got more characters, which probably says Transformers in Japanese. So that's really cool that you can get two of these. I hope that they keep doing that, so that for the English buyers you got this, and then for the Japanese buyers you got this. So taking those off, he does have the collector's card, and just a really good piece of artwork right there. Come to the back, just his tech specs and more in Japanese. I hope they make two of these, where one is English and one is Japanese, because that'd be really cool. And because I got an exclusive version, I got the collector's coin. So you can see Skywarp MP11 SW. You just pull this up, voila, there is the coin, and it is solid metal, and that's pretty cool. So putting that down, that is all of the excess booklets, or whatever you want to call them. So here is Skywarp in his vehicle mode, and he does look really good to me. I really like how the black looks. It's kind of a matte black. I've always been kind of a matte black guy. I don't really like the shiny black. I think it really fits Skywarp, so that's really cool, I think. Nice purple. I really do like the purple that they chose. It's kind of a lighter purple, like a dark purple mixed with a white maybe. And his Decepticon logos look more pink than purple, actually. And just overall, a really cool looking jet mode. Very, very nice looking. You got a nice Decepticon logo right there. And you got nice Decepticon logos right there. And you got some really nice detail. Like here you got lights like a real jet would have. And underneath you got some junk and stuff, just like all the other secret figures. But overall, just really good looking, very cool looking jet. He still has all the same features. You can flip up the wind guard, or the wind blocker, whatever that thing is. Folding that down, you can still open up the back, which does reveal the feet, or the heel spurs, which really help in stabilizing these guys. You can move these around and they still do pop off fairly easily, which kind of stinks, but what are you going to do? So, I can't even put this thing back on. You can unpeg the no rays and move them however you want. He doesn't come with a stand or missiles like Thundercracker did, but he does still fit on the stand, and he does have the landing gears, and I'll put them up once we get to a few other sections of this guy. You can open up the nose cone and fold it out all the way, just like so, and it's got kind of a radar dish in there. And you can open the cockpit too, and he does come with an interesting figure. It's like a generic Dr. Arkeville, and I'll try to focus in here. Really strange looking. Just really strange, and it's not focusing, so there we go. It's like a black Dr. Arkeville is what this thing is, so I don't even know why the heck they chose to go that route. I really did like the hologram that they used. I wish they would have done that, but oh well, this thing's okay too. So he can fit in Skywarp, although I don't know why Dr. Arkeville would go into Skywarp, but there you have that Dr. Arkaville in Skywarp. And you can keep them in there, but I choose to leave these guys out because I've had bad experiences with these guys getting tangled up while transforming these things. So, I believe that's about it for vehicle mode. Oh, you can move these flap thingies. I'm really bad with planes, so if you know more about planes, then please feel free to tell me what these things are. I know that these are intakes. That's all I know. I think that's actually about it. So, to fold up the landing gears, again, you just fold this up, put this up, close that back. Just fold these in, and boom. There you go. And I don't think it comes with any other accessories except for one that's only valid for robot mode. Actually, never mind. I'll grab a piece that I have here real quick. It comes with a new Megatron gun, which I'll touch over more so into the robot mode. But I got this blue piece from Thundercracker, which I totally forgot about. There still is a hole right here. You can connect Megatron. And this is coming off on me. You can connect Megatron to Skywarp, although it's very kind of loose. So, yeah, that's an option for you if you have this piece. He doesn't come, or Skywarp doesn't come with this piece. So if you don't have that, then you can't do that, but whatever. It kind of sucks, but whatever. So I already did a transformation of the Seeker mold in my review of STARSCREAM. So if you want to see how this guy transforms, I'll put a link in the description below. If you want to see how this guy transforms, then I suggest that you go there. Otherwise, I'm going to use some movie magic to turn him from this to this. And I forgot a piece of transfer. Holy crap. To this. So, there is Masterpiece Skywarp. I'll raise my camera here so I can get a better shot of him. All transformed and in his respective robot mode. And he looks pretty cool. I really do like the way that he looks. I like the way that the purple and the black are together. It's just really cool. So you can see that he does have a few paint apps that are kind of interesting. So we'll take a look at those. For one, he's got silver paint linings on his forearms. That's kind of interesting. And on his shoulders, too. That's not really that big of a problem to me. For some people, it is. I know that the Takara versions, like the early MP6 or whatever it was, Takara versions of these had these silver things on them, but it's not going to bug me a whole lot, but I know that bugs a lot of people. One thing that does kind of bug me is that there's a purple line right here on his intake, which is really interesting to me. I don't know why they would do that, but I guess they decided it looked cool. So, whatever. I'm just going to roll with it. And he does still have the booby bombs, or the nipple missiles, or whatever you want to call them. And they're not really painted a really significantly different color. It's kind of just a little bit of a darker gray, which doesn't look really great in my opinion, but I don't really use them anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me. His null rays, you can move them around however you want. I'm just going to leave them to the side because that's how I do it with all my Seekers. And you can flare out his wings. I like to keep them in because I think it looks much better. I suppose this kind of looks cool. I mean, like it looks a little bit more dynamic, but I like the G1-ness of keeping them in like that. And he does have full articulation, the same articulation. His head is on a ball joint. He can look side to side, up and down. I wish that they would use ball joints still on the new figures, but they don't. He has ratchets, and this is not as much of a problem as the other ones are. That's one thing they must have fixed on this guy, because see, if I pick him up, this thing doesn't slide anymore. And I'll touch on that more with the size comparisons. But as for articulation, this thing, you still kind of have to hold it down. It does go in and out. Does rotate the bicep, does bend 90 degrees at the elbow. Rotation, really good hand articulation. I wish they'd go back to this articulation. The thumb can actually move on a ball joint. The finger is fully articulated. The 3 fingers here are articulated. So there you have the fist. He technically has a waist rotation, but all this kibble here gets in the way. You can go forward about that far. It can go back if you move the wing out of the way about that far. And he does actually have a double knee joint, but it's really hard to get it to go because this other joint's really tough. But it doesn't really go that far, as you can already see. So putting this back, really, really heavy ratchets. And I just wish they would have fixed this thing. I mean, it doesn't move, but if you fit around it too much, it does move, which kind of sucks, but whatever. And so you can wiggle his toes, and you can rotate at the thigh on both legs, and that's about it for articulation, I believe. You can't really move the back, and this is getting in the way. You can't really move the back heel spurs all that much. I don't know why you'd want to hinder the stability of this guy. But yeah, for accessories, all he comes with is this Megatron gun, which actually, for a size comparison, I'll put this thing down. Here's the old one, and here's the new one. So the new one kind of has a pull thing right here, and it's just solid. Whereas this one is molded to look just like the actual thing, like the actual Masterpiece Megatron or the upgrades or whatever. So I feel like that's kind of cool. The one thing that's very interesting is that it's rubber. As you can see, it's very bendable. It's very manipulable. What's the word? I don't think manipulable is a word, but you can manipulate it however you want. Everything else is the same. They did add a red dot right here that is not on this one. So I think I will be using this one just because this one, I mean, obviously this one looks more cartoon accurate, but I like the solidness of this one more. I wish this was solid. I wish they would make a solid version of this, but it's not going to bug me. One thing that does kind of bug me is this solid screw right here that's kind of conspicuous. It's just right there, and you can't really get rid of it, but suppose you can pose it, so you can still take it apart. This slides off, and this is very loose, by the way, so I'm gonna have to put some floor polish on that. This can come right off, so you can have a base gun, but I'm just gonna keep all this stuff back on because I don't want to lose it, and I'm putting this on wrong. I know it. There we go. And then you put this back on, this back on. So there's the gun. He can hold it. I believe Skywarp held Megatron in the original cartoon whenever Starscream did. So he holds him just perfectly fine. If you shake him, he ain't gonna fall out. So that's really cool. I really do like the way that works. There was one episode, I think, where they're making an antimatter formula, and Megatron was like this super-powered gun, and Skywarp here failed to Skywarp here failed to take care of the situation, because that's how Skywarp does things. That's why he's my favorite Decepticon. So, now we can get into the size comparison. So, putting Skywarp there. Here he is with a deluxe class figure. Just because. So, taking off Scourge. Here he is with a Voyager. Namely, Scrapper. That works pretty good. I think that works very well, actually. So, they're going to be together in my display. Here he is with Masterpiece Prowl. So another one of his Masterpiece buddies. And we might as well get Wheeljack in here too, because they're about the same size. So there he is with Wheeljack and Prowl. And all those guys are like the same size. So taking off Wheeljack. Here he is with Masterpiece Soundwave. And I feel like Soundwave should be taller. So that's pretty cool. Taking off Soundwave. Here he is with Masterpiece Optimus Prime. So that's how they scale together. And Prime definitely should be taller than Skywarp. So, taking off Prime. And although he's not Masterpiece, I will count him as such. Here is Apollyon, which is my Masterpiece Megatron. So, they look very nice together. Just like how they should. And Skywarp held this guy just a few moments ago. So, that works very well. I highly recommend picking this guy up. He looks really good with the Masterpiece collection. So, taking off Apollyon. And finally, here he is with the rest of his buddies, Thundercracker and Starscream. I'm actually very happy that I finally have the official version of all of these guys. The good versions, not the crappy MP03 mold. I really like this MP11 mold. It is definitely one of the biggest improvements Takara or Hasbro or whatever have done in this Masterpiece line. And it just looks awesome. So unlike Starscream and Thundercracker, as I said before, Skywarp holds together very nicely. I can't say the same for Starscream sort of does. That's kind of interesting. But Thundercracker is the loosest, so you pick him up and... yeah, oh, there goes Starscream. So, Starscream still holds together fairly well. My Starscream and my Thundercracker, or my Skywarp, have a thing over Thundercracker. But see, Skywarp here holds together very well. I mean, like you can see, I'm shaking him and he's not coming apart at the chest area. So I feel like that's a really good improvement. Like every single one of these figures, like Thundercracker came out first, then Starscream, then Skywarp. Every single one of these releases have always improved on something. So first, obviously, this was the first guy that came out. The whole mold was an improvement, so I suppose he's the most drastic. But he is loose, as you can see. Then, what they did with Starscream here, which I'll get over here, they, instead of, like, you can see that Thundercracker's head is painted black, so there's scratch marks in there as you transform him. With Starscream here, it's molded black, so it doesn't scratch the paint. And also, of course, it's a little bit more stiff, not as stiff, but it stays relatively nice, but much better than Thundercracker. And then with Skywarp, he still has the molded black, so it doesn't scratch the paint, and he's really stiff, like extremely stiff in this area. But obviously, it's gonna come up if you shake it way too much. So that is really cool. I'm just so glad to have all three of these guys in my collection. And there are some people that are on the fence about getting the Skywarp just because it's a bit pricey, unlike the rest of the guys. I know Starscream was, but he came with the whole coronation set and everything. Thundercracker was pretty cheap, actually, for a masterpiece figure of this caliber. Of course, mine is the Hasbro version. I think Takara is coming out with a Takara version, which has a bit more of a cartoon-accurate blue, which is more of like a, I'd say Starscream's arms, like a teal sort of color. So I might invest in that. I might sell this guy and get that eventually. But anyway, yeah, Thundercracker was running around, I think it was like $120, whereas Starscream was like $200. I got him actually for $130, which is very cool, very good deal. But I did buy Skywarp for $195, which is not what he's priced at. He's priced at like $230 on Big Bad Toy Store. So I got mine for quite a bit of a discount. But if you really want to pay $230, go ahead and buy this thing. But I really can't recommend buying this thing unless if you have a nostalgic reason or you need them for some other reason. For one, I needed all three of these guys for my movie. Number three, I just really like having all the Seekers, at least the three main ones. The Coneheads, I don't really care about. But these guys, you gotta have these three if you're a real G1 Transformers fan. And I have all of the main Decepticons now, which is really cool. Like, I have these guys, I have Apollyon, I have my G1 Shockwave, which I still display with these guys because he is tall and stuff. And I have Soundwave and all of his minions. The only person I'm missing, I think, is Reflector. But it's Reflector, I don't really care about Reflector. But that's just really cool. So if you really want to have your whole Secret collection complete, and they all look the same, then I suggest picking up this Skywarp. But otherwise, I can't really recommend picking this guy up just because of how pricey he is. I hope that Hasbro comes out with a newer version without these paint marks, but as for now, we're stuck with this. So, if you want to pick this guy up, I will put a link in the description below for Big Bad Toy Store or TF Source, because I know TF Source has free shipping above $150, so that's really cool. If you want to check out any of these guys' reviews, then I'll put links in the description below for both Starscream and Thundercracker. I recommend watching Starscreams because Thundercracker is a really old review that I did, and that's back when I wasn't as experienced with editing. So, anyway, this has been Fuberdude. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Please check out some of my other Transformers reviews and some of my other stop-motion videos. And keep playing, guys.